Welcome back to Caelesti. In today's installment, I'll be going over a number of changes to the project, as well as a couple of things that will be new in Caelesti version 0.23. But first of all, I wanted to show you this neat little menu panorama that I've made for this version of the project. I'm thinking that going forward, I might just have a new menu panorama every single time we update the project, and just use it as a way to showcase some of the new content that's in the update. And I'm talking about it, and it's on screen right there. We have that beautiful new sugarcane that I'll be going over in just a moment. I also found a neat looking woodland mansion right there. And if we let the panorama scroll around for long enough, you'll also see the new sun that is included in this version of the project as well. It's very round. It's not really Minecraft-y, but I like it. So, welcome everyone to Caelesti version 0.23. In today's devlog, I'll be going over some of the new features and changes in the project. But first of all, if you couldn't already tell, I'm not currently using the standard Minecraft third-person camera. This is actually a new mod, a new favorite of mine, simply called shoulder surfing. I'm a big fan of third-person games, so this actually really works for me. You can actually realistically play Minecraft with a third-person perspective, and it works pretty nicely. I really like it. I'm currently using Fabric, specifically Fabulously Optimized, with a few extra mods thrown in. Caelesti is no longer an OptiFine reliant resource pack. It's actually a Polytone reliant resource pack. So if you are using Caelesti going forward, drop OptiFine. You will now need to switch to Fabulously Optimized. You can get the mod pack on a number of different platforms. Personally, I use CurseForge. I know a lot of people like to use Modrinth or even an AT launcher. There's any number of options that you can do to get Fabulously Optimized now. But yeah, Fabulously Optimized will be the best way of using Caelesti, or the only way of using Caelesti going forward. And there are a number of huge upgrades in the project, which I'll be showing off just now. So I already... So I already showed in the menu panorama that we have a new sun texture. It's looking very round, very bright, very lovely. Polytone has a completely new color map system, which I've been switching to over the course of this update, and it also includes the ability to change the colors of the sunset. So you can see here we have a beautiful reddy pink sunset color as the sun goes down, and this can be separate for the sunrise and the sunset. So you see, if we go to a sunrise, we instead get this nice like warm yellow that starts to encompass the world as the sun rises. So new color maps as a part of Polytone, very cool stuff. OptiFine never allowed us to change the color of this like sunrise/sunset texture, and we now can. So yeah, I'd highly recommend, if you're going to download this week's update, go and have a look at the files, see how this works for yourself, and see if you could maybe implement it in your own projects as well. Yeah, look at that sunrise. Isn't that beautiful? Oh, you can see the pixels on the sun. That's sad. It's such a huge texture. I think the sun texture is like probably the largest texture in my pack now. I think it's like 1024 by 1024. Just so we can have a round sun. But it works. The sun is completely white, by the way. If I set it to midday, you can see there it's just completely white. There's no color to the sun at all. But that actually works in our favor, because when we go to a sunset, you can see there that the sun actually gets discolored by the sunset oval. So we get this like really nice bleeding of color from the sunset into the sun, but still retaining the very white center point there. I think that looks really good. So next up on today's list, we have Alium. I recently watched Toonbay play this minigame on Bedrock to earn a cape. I believe it was for like a Minecraft movie tie-in. And also, this is the point where I'm going to recommend to you, if you haven't already seen it, go watch my review of the Minecraft movie and the Minecraft movie meal. It's the first video I've ever made that has a production cost, and it was really fun to make, so I hope you enjoy it. I'll leave a card in the top corner of the video now in case you do want to give it a watch. But yeah, whilst Toonbay was playing through this minigame, I was looking at some of the scenery in the environment, and the whole thing had this custom texture pack designed for it. And what I think was supposed to be Alium in that environment looked really good. So I asked him to go back so I could take a screenshot of the Alium and use it for reference, and I've now converted it into my own little style here. I've chosen a new color palette, and I've taken a new approach with the actual model itself. Alium has, I believe, 4 different variants with different numbers of Alium within those single blocks, and I think it looks pretty good. Whenever you find these in like a meadows biome, like an Alium meadows, it looks really nice. And yeah, oftentimes when I make something for Caelesti and I'm not really happy with it later on, it'll get removed. I do really like these. I think these are definitely here to stay. And speaking of here to stay, the first time I have ever made sugarcane and actually really liked the result. And also, this is probably one of the most groundbreaking things in Caelesti now, but I'll explain that in just a second. So first of all, in similar fashion to the lilac, if any of you remember how this plant worked, this is using multi-part, and it's using like a random system for each individual element of the plant. So you can see here we have planes on the side for the flowers there, and in the middle, and at the top. And these all look quite random. There's a different number of like flower heads per plane, and those are being shuffled randomly. The bush itself is being shuffled randomly, and this top plane is being shuffled randomly. So you have a very random plant here. I think this has nearly 300 billion variants, just because of the way that the multi-part system works. I may have calculated the maths wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure I didn't, so lilac's pretty complicated. Sugarcane now has the exact same system in place, but in a different way. So each of these individual stems within a single sugarcane block, of which there are 5, get shuffled. So essentially you have 5 different segments of cane, and they have different textures on the side. I just broke that for no reason. There we go. But yeah, you can see here, if you look at the texture, if you look very closely at the texture, the actual pixel art on the side of the cane, you can see that each individual internode of the sugarcane has a different texture to it, and that is shuffled randomly between each of the 5 canes. So there's already quite a bit of random variance going on there. In addition to that, each of the canes have their own leaves, and there's a 20% chance that they just simply won't have leaves. You can see there's one here which just doesn't have leaves on it, but the rest do, and there are a number of different variants for the type of leaf that can be had as well. So all in all, there's quite a lot going on here. There's quite a bit of random variance, and when you look at them all packaged together like this in their usual layout, this is a simple, like, you know, sugarcane farm where you have the water and the trapdoors, so you can run across and blah, 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 to break all of them. It looks pretty good. It looks pretty random. I mean, the only thing that's really kind of a downside of this is that you can't see through it. Usually sugarcane is quite easy to see through, and people probably use it for that sort of thing. Mine is now very dense, very opaque, so you won't really be able to see through your sugarcane typically. I broke it again. I'm so sorry. I don't know why I hate this sugarcane specifically. I just hate this one, I guess. But yeah, sugarcane's looking pretty good. Now for the groundbreaking information. Okay. So you guys know that I love color maps. Color maps are huge. They allow you to change huge aspects of the game without much work, and I think that they're really powerful. Sugarcane also has a color map. You can see it in a few different environments here. As I'm shuffling through these here, notice how the canes and the leaves have slightly different colorations. Sugarcane is the first block in Caelesti to use a dual color map. Polytone, as fantastic as it is, has quite a number of neat features, and it actually re-implements a broken feature from vanilla Minecraft which allows models to have multiple tint indexes. If you ever opened like a leaf block or a grass block, then you'll see that there's certain parts of the model get given this tint index 0 line, which specifies which part of the model is going to take color from a color map. In vanilla Minecraft, you can only ever specify a tint index of 0, and that just simply says that this is the part of the model to be tinted. But the fact that it's a 0 and not like a true false specifies that we should probably be able to do multiple color maps per block. However, in vanilla this has never worked. I've tried it many times in the past with no success, and Polytone very simply just fixes that problem. You can now simply just do any value of tint index that you want, specify a color map for it, and specify the tint index value per block per color map. So what this effectively means is that moving forward, as long as we're using Polytone and not OptiFine, we can actually have multiple, we can have, you know, as many color maps as we like for a single block. It's insane. The applications for this are incredible, by the way. If you didn't understand what I said with everything just there, just wait until the next few videos, because I'm going to be making use of this new feature a lot. I'm going to speak a little bit about it at the end as well, because there's already some things in Caelesti which need to get changed now because of this new feature. This is one of the most groundbreaking things I've discovered in resource pack development in the last decade. I remember like many years ago when I discovered emissive textures, and that was just, oh my god, so much you can do with emissive textures. This is not that. This is on another level. There are so many applications for this, I cannot even begin to explain. So I'm not going to explain, I'm just going to do it, and you guys are going to keep your eyes peeled and your ears open and see what kind of neat stuff comes out of this. But yeah, dual color maps are now a thing, and Sugarcane is the first block in Caelesti to get them. There's going to be many more. There's going to be many, many more. Just wait and see. So if you didn't know, I have a coffee donations page, and if you donate to my coffee, I will zombify your player skin and add it to Caelesti. There's only a very small chance that the player skins actually appear, but the more player skins there are, the more common they'll become, I guess. But yeah, usually when you spawn a zombie, it will just be Steve. I don't know why my game keeps doing that. Steve, no. Steve, no. Steve, no. Steve, no. Steve, Steve. There we go. Oh, usually it'll be Steve. Usually it'll be Steve or Alex, and then there's a small chance that it'll be the other newer player skins, and then there's an even smaller chance that it will be a coffee donator skin. The new ones in today's update are Ender and Mag. Ender or Pretzels, I'm not sure which you prefer, I do apologize. But yeah, this was a really good skin to zombify. You've just got like kind of simple civilian clothing, so it's really good to just like rip them up, remove a shoe, you know, and then give them the zombie coloration. So the hair that's like grey-brown, and the skin, which is obviously this like dull green. So that was a really fun one to do. Mag, your skin was a little bit more difficult to do, simply because of the fact that your skin is like a full body suit of armor, I think is what it's supposed to be. But you know, I just broke it as though it's metal, so it's been like sheared off and fractured. And the skin underneath it, which didn't exist beforehand because your skin doesn't actually have like a face or anything like that, is now actually the template zombie. So when I first started making these player zombie skins, I decided to have it that there was going to be like a base zombie, and I would start with that, put the donator's clothing over that skin, and then kind of warp their face into the skin, like the base skin. But Mag, because your skin doesn't have a face, you now have the template zombie face. So I guess that means that you're kind of the default zombie, kinda. But you know, it's pretty good. I also discolored the armor as well, just to make it fit in a little bit more, because the very vibrant blue didn't really fit with the zombie theme. I hope you like this. I think it looks pretty good. OptiFine was broken for quite some time, and although these guys were already in the project in the last update, OptiFine still hasn't fixed the issue that meant that these skins didn't work. So again, guys, if you want to see your donator skins in-game, switch to Polytone, get the latest update, and you'll be able to see all of the wonderful CEM that OptiFine has previously not been attending to, and is still broken. So yeah, just use Fabulously Optimized, guys. It's so good. People have been telling me for years, like, you know, give it a try, keep an eye on it. And don't get me wrong, there were reasons in the past not to switch to it yet, but now, oh, it's time. It's absolutely time. OptiFine is done. Just switch to Fabulously Optimized for everything. I mean, come on. It's just straight up better than OptiFine now. There's no competition at all. So next up, we have some more simple changes, but definitely no less interesting. So right here, we have my new oak trees. I've been trying to get around to design some more common parts of Minecraft for a long time now, and oak trees were a big one, of course. I was trying to figure out how to do this bigger, larger aspect bark texture. I probably not described that very well. What I kind of mean is that each of the individual like sections of the bark here are just increased in size. Many things in Caelesti have been increased in size for like readability and because it's easier for pixel art, and I kind of have this like consistent cartoony style going now. You can see my ginormous sunflowers with their huge, I was going to say heads, I don't know if that's correct, with their huge flowers, right? Because that's a stem and a flower. Anyway, yeah, so we have huge sunflowers. We also have huge sections of bark on the oak trees as well. I actually need to give credit to two people for this one. First of all, Japper, because this is inspired by Japper. And second of all, Stridey, because he showed me that Japper did something similar to this. I asked in the PCO about designing this bark texture specifically, and I described what I wanted to achieve. And Stridey replied and said, oh, Japper was going for something similar before he switched to a more simple system, like is in vanilla now, and showed me this screenshot, which was fantastic source of inspiration for this block. I then went ahead and redesigned it and also added 7 extra variants that all, you know, meshed together nicely. So it's got the proper Caelesti treatment, and I think it looks really, really nice as well. In addition to that, we also have stripped oak wood as well, and stripped oak wood has something a little more interesting going on, and you can probably see what it is just here. If I take the logs and the wood, they actually have a slightly different style of texture. So logs have this like darker corner element, which gives it more of like a pillar look, especially when you place them next to each other like this. But stripped oak wood is a bit different. It actually flows together more smoothly, and you get this more like flush wood wall. And I think this looks really good for flooring. I think it looks excellent for flooring. I really didn't need to do this, but I mean, when I was laying all the blocks out for this showcase, I was looking at this wall and I just realized, like, hang on, these lines that make this block a pillar don't really apply to wood because, of course, it has the same flat texture on all sides. So why not make an alternate version of the side texture and have that be applied for the wood version? So oak and dark oak are now actually independent from birch in the fact that their stripped versions have twice as many textures as their non-stripped versions. That's for the wood specifically. The logs are still the same for birch and oak in terms of texture count. It's really not that big of a deal. I don't know why I'm focusing on it so much. But yeah, we also have the same treatment for dark oak over here. You can see these next to each other. Oak and dark oak are actually kind of similar, but also not. Dark oak, the nodules of the bark are much bigger, much wider, and a little bit more varied. And you can see that the stripped version here is different as well. So whereas oak is quite flat, quite tame, dark oak seems to have quite a lot of deeper chunks missing from within the texture. And I think that the difference here is really subtle, but really good. I didn't want to have these textures just be the same and just be a darker version of the original. I wanted them to both feel unique in their own certain way. And I gotta say, I think specifically the dark oak end texture is like one of my favorite textures in Caelesti now. It's so good. I don't know why. I love the color palette. I love the way it matches up with the sides. I think it looks awesome. And you actually encounter this texture quite a bit in vanilla Minecraft. It appears in like the Woodland Mansion and Pillager Outposts. So yeah, you will actually encounter this quite a bit. And of course, it obviously appears in like the trees themselves. Speaking of dark oak trees, whilst I was converting each of the color maps in Caelesti to the new Polytone format, I decided to actually tweak and adjust some of the existing ones since I was already looking at them, and dark oak was one of the new ones that got that treatment. First of all, there is a new color for dark oak in dark oak forests, which gives them their, kind of default appearance. This one is up for change because, again, this is how dark oak trees look like in their base state, so this is kind of the most important one. I'm not entirely convinced on the texture, but I also have some plans in the future to maybe change the leaves of all of the trees in Caelesti, so we might come back to this quite soon. But there's also a new coloration in savanna biomes, so if you were to take some dark oak saplings and grow a tree there, you'd get this nice unique color. And the same again for cold biomes as well. You get this kind of like autumnal red, which I think just looks so nice, especially with the snow on top of the tree there. So dark oak trees looking pretty good as well. That's 2 more trees ticked off the list. We now have birch, oak, and dark oak. I can tell you for definite that pale oak is also coming. I was intending to put it in this update, but you know what? There are some fantastic features with Polytone that I think can be implemented for pale oak, and I haven't quite got around to that part of the documentation just yet, so I'm saving pale oak for a future update, but it is coming for sure. I want to get all of the oaks done. Kind of a simple change here, but I also wanted to change the item model for the birch log. Simply when the birch log is displayed in the inventory or an item frame now, you just see kind of, I don't know how to describe this, you see like the broken parts on the side instead of the flush line which has no breaks in it, and I think it just looks more characteristic of the birch instead of just looking like a stripe, so it's a really simple change, but each of the item models now have this rotation to them instead. It's such a nitpick, I know, but it's it's tiny improvements with each change. But more interestingly, with birch trees, again, as I mentioned before, I was already looking at the color map, so I wanted to kind of tweak them a little bit as well. Birch has actually had a color map in the pack for the longest time. It's just not been enabled, and I don't quite understand why. You can see here, if we switch back to a birch biome, we've got these lovely, beautiful, like yellowy orange leaves, and of course the leaf litter, which is getting removed as soon as Fabulously Optimized is updated for 1.21.5, but never mind. But whenever you see a birch tree in a different biome now, so like a forest or a plains or anything like that, they will have this like mid-green coloration, and I think it makes them fit into forests a lot better, and it also adds a bit of variety for the birch trees. Given that the birch trees are unique in having this just be like an actual texture with no coloration added to it, and this being that same original texture with just a heavy amount of green applied over it, they are unique in the way that they function. And again, I may come back to these in the future and tweak them once again. I'm just going to keep tweaking things until they're perfect. But yeah, Minecraft recently added unlimited rotations, and actually Fabulously Optimized already has unlimited rotations because of a mod called Puzzle, I believe. I haven't got around to its documentation yet, I'm sorry. But infinite rotations are something that Leaves would greatly benefit from. So we might be coming back to these again in the future. It's an idea for the future. I still have a lot of reading to do on the documentation, so give me a bit of time and our leaves might look just that more beautiful. And finally, I did mention it earlier today, but there are some changes to come for the existing flowers in Caelesti as well. So obviously we just found out that dual color maps are a thing, and they actually work correctly with like the tint index and specifying each element of the model to be tinted. That means that these flowers can now get a massive upgrade. Previously, I've been adjusting the flowers per biome using CTM fixed by specifying the biome they appear in and then changing the color entirely. This unfortunately results in a really sharp cutoff between biomes, but you know, we can do dual color maps now, so that's just not an issue anymore. So in the next update of Caelesti, each of our flowers that we've already created, and more if we create more in the near future, will have color maps applied to them. Now most of these are going to share the same color map for their stems. You can see Dandelion, Alium, and also all of the tulips share the same color palette for their stems. Poppies have a slightly unique color palette, so they'll have a slightly different one, and it'll be the same again for roses, lilac, and sunflower. Each of these three are unique as well, I believe. So each of these flowers are going to get upgraded models, extra color maps, and I'll remove all of the CTM for like fixed for certain biomes. I should have really done it for this update, but I just kind of want to get this update out and we can just do this in the future. And there's a lot more to come with the color maps, like a lot more to come. So, you know, look forward to that. So thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this Caelesti devlog. There are always a number of features that I fail to mention in these updates. So if you want to see the full changelog, do go and check out the changelog on the CurseForge downloads page. There are quite a number of other changes in this update, which I've simply not talked about today, such as, I don't know, nether fog. Also, the sky gets darker the higher altitude you are now. There's a ton of different things on there, so go give it a read if you're interested. And again, given the change in files and the change from OptiFine to Polytone, I would highly recommend going and looking at the files in today's update if you are interested to see how the new stuff works. It's interesting stuff, and there'll be more to come in the very near future. Anyway, big times for Caelesti. We're getting huge upgrades, finally breaking free from OptiFine. I'm so happy about that. Trust me, this is a big turning point. Like, this is going to make a big difference going forward, and there is just so much more to come. So just before we go, there is one last thing I wanted to talk about today. There's currently a poll running on my channel, which you can find by navigating to the posts tab. It should be the most recent thing on there. What this poll is essentially asking is how we should go about labeling the updates for my projects going forward. In the past, I've kept this system of version XYZ, with X representing a full release, Y representing a major update, and Z representing a very small update or a hotfix, for example. This is typically how things have gone in the past, but I've not been consistent with it in the slightest, and I'm starting to think that maybe a better idea would be switching to a simple title of Update X instead. If we did switch to this new system, the next version of Caelesti would be Update 46, which is kind of weird considering that this is version 0.23, but I guess there's been that many sub-updates and smaller updates in between the main releases that we are actually at that point now. So yeah, let me know what you guys think. Shall the next version of Caelesti be version 0.23.1, or should it be Update 46? Personally, I'm leaning in the direction of this new system because it's much more simple, much more coherent, and much easier to follow, but it's entirely up to you guys. If you like the current versioning system, I will leave it as is. If not, I'll get it changed around, and I think it'll be better, but, you know, I'll leave the decision to you guys. So thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Leave me a like and a comment if you want to show your support. It will definitely help get this video out to others, and remember to download the pack and support me on Ko-fi if you so desire. Thanks for watching, guys. I will see you next week for another video, and until then, take care, and bye-bye.